Last weekend, my family beat me brutally. We were playing cards, and I lost by 85 points. It was a crushing loss, but I didn't really care. And my wife often marvels at, well, complains, that I have zero interest in being competitive when we play. Sometimes I lose, sometimes I win, and basically I always shrug. Now, as a New Yorker with a long business career, I understand competition. I'm capable of being ambitious, but I don't particularly enjoy it. It can be absurd. It can be counterproductive. I started practicing yoga in my mid-50s, and I'd often find myself the only man in a room full of live, flexible young women. And if there were any men, they all had ribs and Mandela tattoos and man buns and not a lot else. Nonetheless, a simian voice in my head would eagerly point out that everyone else in the room was pretzeled into impossible shapes, that their heads were resting on their lower backs, their legs were splayed in perfect splits, their spines were twisted like corkscrews, while I was huffing and puffing trying to reach my toes. And it seemed that I'll never be able to do yoga properly because I didn't have whatever Buddha-given gifts these life yogis had been born with. I tried to turn myself a little further, and then, sprawling, I'd pull a muscle instead, and I'd hobble out of the class much worse than I went in. And in time, I learned that this was ridiculous. I was not meant to be as flexible as a 17-year-old gymnast supermodel. Instead, my goal became to be just a little bit more unstressed than I'd been last week. We live in a ludicrously competitive society. We're surrounded by endless contests and comparisons. Everything that can be quantified is used to drive us to excel further. After we're all created equal, we're then instructed to arrange ourselves in hierarchies, line up by height, race for a blue ribbon, get better grades, go to the best college, buy a bigger house, a Porsche, a Rolex, a Gucci, or something else. We pit ourselves against each other whenever we can. We get a job and we immediately set to work striving for promotions and titles and bigger offices and personal parking spaces. We're not supposed to ask our neighbor what he makes in salary, so we check out what he drives, his breed of dog, where he goes on vacation, where his kids go to school. These are indicators of what he's worth. And strangely, the most intensely competitive arena seems to be the creative world. Artists compete on bestseller lists and Billboard charts. We vie for Oscars and Grammys and Tonys and Emmys and Pulitzers and National Book Awards and Peabodys and platinum records and grants and ribbons and likes and followers and subscribers and auction prices and red dots and reviews. But all these metrics have nothing to do with making art. Art is about you and nobody else. What's inside of you, how you see, what you feel and know and dream. It's not comparable to someone else's dream. It's not better or worse. It just is. In fact, it's an opportunity to escape the dog-beat-dog world that we live in, to leave the rat race and to say, I want to explore myself. I want to create something new. I want to play and explore and discover the beauty inside me and the world around me. And you can't beat that. So this little diatribe is part of is an essay that I wrote last week. And I send out these essays every Friday, and a lot of people read them and they write back to me, and we have a dialogue about it. And I think that that's great. And and I think about these essays that I write, like this one in particular. And a lot of times they come about because of something that I've experienced or something I've thought about. And I think that on the one hand, there's this business of competing with other people on Instagram, for instance, or right here on YouTube, right? I don't really feel like I'm competing with anybody else. other YouTube channels. I don't know. But certainly there's a lot of stuff out in the world, particularly here on this channel, on this platform, that's making you feel like you need to do more, you need to tweak this, you need to, you need to get better, constantly get better. And I think when it comes to art making, as I said here in this essay, this idea that if other people see what we're doing, that they will judge us, or that we ourselves, even more insidiously, we ourselves will judge what we've made in comparison to either what other people have done. He draws better than me. He has more followers than me. Or, that we are somehow failures at this. And that concern stops you. That's really what I'm most worried about, most concerned about in general, is that you don't even try because you think you're going to fail, or you're going to come in second, or you're going to come in 100,000th before anybody else, judges you yourself. That what you're making is never going to be good enough. And so there's no point in even making it. That's really the ugliness in this whole thing, is this idea that we can foresee what will happen as a result of the things that we do. I think that that's a core kind of element in anxiety. I study anxiety a lot, not to get better at it, but because I'm curious about it, and I'm curious about it in me. And one of the things that we say about anxiety is that anxiety is about misjudging the effects of what you're going through, misjudging what's going to happen. Oh no, if I do this, that will happen. Misjudging that, being wrong about it, thinking it's going to be much worse than it actually is going to be. And secondly, misjudging your ability to deal with it. So you're afraid that something terrible is going to happen, and you're afraid you won't be able to deal with it. My dog, she's often anxious. But, I think in general, we're just not that good at assessing ourselves, at assessing what we can do, how we can do it. And we're not that good at assessing whether what we've done is any good. And that's why I don't think it's necessary. I think that judging yourself is, I don't know, I guess it's important if you want to sell yourself, like you want to set a price at what you've done. But I think it's not really that important when it comes to actually the process of making it. I think you can say to yourself, maybe I did it better before, or maybe I had in mind some other thing which I didn't do that good a job at achieving, But I think it's so possible, so it's so likely that we'll be super harsh with ourselves in that assessment. And that harshness is such a problem because it doesn't drive us to be better. It drives us to give up. And, I think I'm judging this video even as I'm making it. I'm thinking, how are you going to feel about watching this? In fact, I'm going to pause for a second and go and see what my dog's up to, and then I'll be back. Anyway, one of the things that I've been thinking about is really, what am I to do with this channel? What am I to do here? I have so many ideas. I drive people like my wife crazy, but with all the ideas that I keep coming up with. And I think that I would like to share them with you in a more fluid way. And so what I'm thinking is I want to just do stuff for the sake of doing it. Share it with you. If it sucks, it sucks. Here's my dog again. I have to pause one more time. All right, so that's a case in point. Do I need to make videos that are perfectly produced and that don't acknowledge that I have a vicious pug who's yammering at the world? I'm sure you don't care. The ad guy in me, the guy who makes Super Bowl commercials, or used to, is, doesn't like having imperfect things. Doesn't like, and here's another thing that bothers me, is when people on YouTube incessantly have their microphones right there on screen like that. Here's my microphone. I don't like having it on screen. I think it's I don't know. Mics are meant to be heard and not seen. Anyway, so what I'm thinking is I want to do things like, this may not be the best example of it, but I want to do things that feel a bit more conversational with you, where I can share ideas with you and, just get them out there. So I'm thinking I'm going to try to, on a more regular basis, record my essays and just comment on them a bit. So I'll try and do that on a more regular basis. I also have a bunch of ideas around sketchbook making, or filling, shall I say. I'm not going to start doing bookbinding demos, but I just have so many things I would like to share with you in terms of my own library of sketchbooks, but also just so many cool books that I've come across that I would like to share with you about sketchbooks and examples of people's sketchbooks. So I'm thinking of doing that. I also had talked about having a membership program, using the membership feature of this YouTube, so that I could, create some members only stuff. Maybe I'll do that. I have been thinking about it. And if I do, maybe that's the place for this stuff. Like, you might say to yourself, you know what, I'm not really interested in you yammering on. So, well, of course, you could always just stop watching, but also maybe I'll put that in the membership thing for people who are particularly interested or not. I don't know. Let me know. So that's another thing that I wanted to do more of, was talking about sketchbooks and sharing sketchbooks. So those are thoughts that I've had. Again, going back to the topic of this essay, it may or may not work. It may or may not be good. It may or may not. It doesn't matter. I think I'm going to do it anyway, both of those things. And we'll see. We'll see. I think I'll stop doing them if I don't like doing them. And I won't like doing them if nobody else likes them. That may be a factor, or may not. I don't know. I kind of like sitting here talking to you. But we'll see if you like doing that too. So yeah, that's my thought for the day. By the way, if you'd like to get my essays, go to dannysessays.com and sign up. They're free. And if you have any thoughts about what I've been blathering about today, let me know in the comments below. And I'll see what you have to say. Thanks again. Talk to you later.